What's up, everybody? My BXM, aka Brandon. This is episode 59 of the Anime Dojo. I'm alongside Chris this evening. Chris, how you doing?
Doing pretty good, bro. How about you?
Doing well, can't complain. We have a couple things to get into. We're gonna be talking about one of the weirder live actions that are gonna be coming out soon. It is Sales at Work. It is an anime. You can find it on Crunchyroll. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about my thoughts about this last My Hero Academia episode and what I think about where it's headed. And then we'll get into the charts and do episode of Slime, episode 59, Gods and Lords, and Kaiju number 8, episode 9, The Raid at the Base. So we'll get into both of those. But first, let's start off with this. I'll start off with my thoughts with My Hero. This last episode of My Hero was really interesting. I appreciate the fact that we're getting more story now. We kind of got the other classes helping each other, helping out Class 1A. So Class 1B, Class B came and helped. Other couple people from Class B helped. So like the guy that can learn any ability, the girl that has the sonic powers, like she can like sonic blast powers and can fly a little bit. We also got the guy that can do mind control based on how he asks questions. So he's going to be a part of this for a bit too. This all leads up. It left off where the battle left off. So this battle's between all of UA class and some heroes alongside, and then against All for One and his band of villains. Basically, what ends up happening, we kind of get a flashback of the Phantom Kid from 1B talking to the guy that can do the eye thing and slow down the powers. And he kind of says, "We have a plan. Here's what we're gonna do." Da, da, da. They kind of and the Phantom Kid's like the guy from 1B is kind of like, "Cool. I appreciate it. I kind of like the way that's going. He's really into it." So that's where we get him building all the Phantom portals. He learned how to do that from the guy in prison, which was I think a conduit of All for One who helped All for One. It was like one of his henchmen, um, who's been in prison for a long time, by the way. And I think the other part about this I really enjoyed is just how they had a plan in motion. There was always something in motion. There was always something there. I do feel like too though, it it was all good, well done, very good, very awesome. I think it just needs a little more oomph because I like the plans that are in motion. I like the idea we had. We never figured out that they were going to split the teams apart at this point. So in the battle kind of starts, but they ultimately what they're going to try to do, they put them all in like little prison things, and they said, and the villain's like, "Why are we going to hold you? Going to hold us in prisons? That's not going to hold us. That's not the point. Hold us long enough to get you all split apart in different battles," and that's what ends up happening, pushing all different battles. And the heroes were supposed to go to other with these other little pods. So each group of heroes were going to these pods and kind of helping out for that certain amount of villains. End up, Deku was supposed to go to fight Shigaraki. Never happened because he gets caught by this like whip thing and gets pulled into another portal. Ultimately, what we see, he's he's at the fight with Tokugi and a couple others. They don't want him to go to Shigaraki because if he goes to Shigaraki, they probably destroy Shigaraki pretty easily. I ultimately think too, and Chris, tell me if I'm wrong, I like the fact we're getting this split off fight, but we also kind of know they're not going to win. So why even have the fight now? Like, I think you could do something else. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. It's a plethora of things that they can do, but uh,
And and people have talked about this is building to the end game. This is building to what we're going to get into pretty well down the season. And even Deon's talked about it in a couple. I've seen people mention it, and it's just kind of interesting. If we're getting to the end game, this is a slow end game, but I don't mind it. I don't think it's a bad slow end game. I just think it needs to be. It needs to have a purpose to get to that end game. Like actual Avengers had an end game, but the end game actually built to stuff, built to like plot important things to get us to that point of that final battle or a couple final battles. With this episode, I think getting started with this battle is not because like they were destroying Shigaraki at the end of this battle pretty well because ultimately what happens, Phantom Dude learns how to use the power of the teacher and use that power alongside his own power to keep Shigaraki's powers down, ultimately making it easier to fight against. And then the water guys giving him water's eyes so his eyes don't dry up. But they know Deku can't be with them, so they have to try to hold out as long as they can until Deku can join them or something else changes. And then Shigaraki kind of fights back, knows he can fight back, and tries other things to fight back, and he kind of gets back at even footing for the most part. I will say this right now: the show's getting better, but this show is not on the level of like a Slime or a Jobless or even Go-Go Loser Ranger. I think My Hero's on the lower end of the season for once. It's at like you're maybe like you're 15, 16, 17, somewhere in there. 14. I don't think it deserves that top 10 right now. I think it's still good, but I don't think it deserves that top 10 right now. Ultimately, if I had to give this episode a rating, I would give it like a 7.5. It was good, but it didn't lead you to anything coming up. Chris, what would you say about this episode for My Hero?
Oh, I do like the fact that they gave us a lot of good stories and some things that led into one. But I mean, right now it just seems so slow. I know y'all are one of the shows that started late in the season, but I mean, I almost feel like y'all had no reason to do that only because I mean, look at you now. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
y'all are going 21 episodes, but you started late in the season. Like, what part of that makes any sense?
It doesn't. And on top of that, think about this: Demon Slayer is starting late in the season, but they're only doing 8 episodes, and we've already watched 4 of those episodes, and all 4 of those episodes had something interested in them, and it's building a story we're getting to the end.
Correct.
And that story is actually going through all the Hashira, so we're getting to the last Hashira right now. Like, yeah, I know people are going to say they haven't really adapted the manga for Demon, but they have, but slow. They're not doing it. They're not going to do all the adaptations really fast, but they're also doing some anime only things where they're adding other things like the airplane scene, the paper airplane scene they did for the Miss Hashira, the whole cutesy ballerina scene, which I think is just not in. It's not in the original. It's not in the manga at all. It's just they added that for the Love Hashira and the Wind Hashira stuff, and it feels like MHA didn't want to have split this in 2 arcs and do a full run. What I think should have happened, and I agree with Chris on this, started when the season first started and then gone through. Because by this point, if we would have started it from the beginning of this spring season, they would have been on episode like 11 or 12 by this point.
Yep.
And then we would ramp up to, if you want to go 21 episodes, by that point, there's 10 more episodes. You really are at the halfway point where you could really start ramping things up. I'm going to ask you this, Chris, before I ask for the rating of this last episode for MHA. Do you think the superhero genre is just getting too tired out now?
Yes.
Explain why.
I know.
Because
Okay. Especially our generation, bro.
mm-hmm.
We watched. We've watched all the superhero movies before they became popular.
We did.
Like we remember the 2008 Hulk movie that was supposed to be given into the Avengers.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
We started there, and that was 2008, bro. It's been more than 10, over 15 years
Yep.
of superhero genre shows and movies. Because I remember we even had Heroes, remember?
Oh, the TV show on CW.
Mm-hmm.
Which I never watched, but also knew it wasn't that good.
No, it was actually very good.
Actually, no, it was good, but it also was kind of that weird space because it was the same year that came out like Green Lantern, Supergirl,
Mm-hmm.
The
All
Flash.
the flops.
Yeah.
All of those flops.
Yeah. So it kind of like take it with a grain of salt.
Exactly.
I only reason I asked this is because it's funny. We're getting shot. So Shy officially announced on July 1st they are coming back. Here's the weird thing. By that point, MHA won't even be done yet. And I think Shy is a sleeper hit for me because I like the way they do Shy. Because Shy is not all about the superpowers. You actually have legitimately conflicts with the characters and feelings and emotions, and the fact that our main character, who is Shy, doesn't use her powers as strongly as everybody else, but she still figures out how to fix a problem. The thing that I like about MHA, the characters in MHA, great. The characters, the students, awesome. I love the interactions you have with all the students. I love most of the cast because most of the cast is amazing. But I also feel like there's never enough tension in MHA. The tension's kind of not there, or when it is there, it's barely there for like maybe one or two episodes, then it just gets back to the fighting and them going ham. Because Deku as a character is still learning how to use his powers, gaining more about All for One, and it doesn't. It also feels like too he's a distant from the class. This was season 7 started out where he comes back to the class for the first time. Ultimately, and it didn't feel like he missed a beat because everybody was like, "Oh, you're back, cool." I would have rather had some tension there, like, what have you been doing this whole time? Why are you back with us? What's going on? All this stuff. We kind of get that at the end of season 6, but we don't get it fully. We only get it with the people because people don't want it there at all. The rest of the people who live there. But then in this case, the students are like, "Oh, you're back, cool." I'm gonna continue watching MJ. I'm a fan of it. I just think if this is gonna be the last season, which it's supposed to be, it's gonna kind of go out with a whimper than a bang.
I'm more of a
But
whimper than a bang. Wow.
and that's kind of sad knowing where MHA's been. So Chris, what would you give My Hero Academia as a rating for this last episode? If you had to give it a rating.
It's a 6.2.
Oh,
I was just
explain.
unimpressed. I was unimpressed.
Okay.
Like like I understand that y'all are building your story, but I mean we're OG fans of My Hero. Like I think we deserve a little bit more than what we've been getting.
Okay. Okay. Um, yeah, you're not wrong, and it's funny to me because I think the other problem with all this is that I think season 6 left you on such a high, and season 6 kept that high for a couple episodes, and then it just kind of fell back down because they're going back to the training arc. And then you have this battle. We're going to continue the battle in the next episode, but after that battle, what's going to happen? It There's too much of a roller coaster, and that roller coaster doesn't always feel like it's a good idea. It feels not. You can have a lot of highs and highs, lows, but then the highs you have, all the highs don't match each other. Don't have to, but they have to have some consistency. But all the lows are kind of like not great either. So it's like they don't really have a balancing act with those. I I will say this. I'm gonna keep watching. I'm always gonna keep watching. I appreciate MJ. I appreciate what it does for the community. It's probably one of the few superhero or like hero based shows that can still stand the test of time against other things. But once it's gone, I think it's gonna be one of those things where if you told somebody should you watch MHA, I would be hard to press to tell somebody go watch it in full and you will enjoy it. I'm like, you watch the first couple seasons. If you like it, continue. But at a certain point, it's gonna fall off. Not to
I
mention the fact. Go ahead.
I say I agree.
Not to mention the
It's
fact.
gonna do exactly that.
Not to mention the fact we're still supposed to get the movie sometime this summer. So that's also kind of weird.
Man, I forgot about that movie.
which is supposed to be a prequel thing before the season ever started. So yeah. Um, but let me know what y'all think in the comments to see if me and Chris are off base. Like we said, we are fans of the series. We're like pretty hardcore fans of the series. I don't read the manga because never really had an inkling to, but the show is good. And it's only the only downside, like Chris said, the fact that we've seen all these superhero stuff in the past 10 to 15 years across the board, and now people are just kind of tired of it. And it doesn't help the fact that we're getting Suicide Squad at the end of in July, and that's going to be another superhero thing, technically, but it's going to be isekai. So I wonder if that's going to do well with fans of superhero stuff, and they're going to be willing to give it a chance. We'll see. But let's get into this other topic we're going to talk about. So the show called Cells at Work is getting a live action show, and we don't know much else about it. We saw, I think I put up the little tweet that came up. I saw a trailer. It looks pretty good. I'm gonna ask you this first, Chris. What do you think about the fact it's getting a live action show? Do you like the idea of getting a live action show? Do you think it needs one, or are you kind of indifferent to this?
It does not need one. Like I admit, the anime was decently good, especially Cold Black. I did like Cold Black. It gave me nostalgia vibes from Osmosis Jones. Now, I do not think it needs a live remake because how in the world are you going to have a live action anime that takes place inside of the human body? Like, bro, come on, let's be serious, y'all, because y'all are not.
And he brought up the point I was gonna bring up, and it's funny you said it right in like the first couple, the first sentence you said. The show I thought about, Osmosis Jones, and it's
Because that's the show
weird.
they grew up with.
And the weird thing is, do you remember what they did with Osmosis Jones? Do you remember what they did?
Yeah, they introduced anthrax to kids. Yeah.
Or that, but they also made the movie, which that movie wasn't great.
No, wait. Hold up, buddy. Because the movie came first.
Okay, so the movie came first, then the TV show, right?
Right.
I,
And to me, the movie was decently good.
the movie was decently good. The thing is, if you kept an animation, so I'm fine with that. The only thing that was jarring in the movie, which I think is going to be jarring for the live action, is like you said, how are you going to make it look like live people are inside a body of a human person? The thing about the movie I did never like, and Bill Murray as an actor, good. He does a good job acting. Him acting in that movie about what's happening to his own body feels off because you know who's in there doing it. It it never feels. It felt weird when you had to go outside of the cells and you're like, oh, his body's messed up. Oh, he has this like boil on his leg. It felt awkward, and I'm
See,
wondering. Go ahead.
I mean, you're right. It was very awkward because I mean, he's a grown man, and we're seeing things that's happening in a grown man's body. Like, yeah,
And I'm wondering
that's
if they're
not
gonna.
works.
I'm wondering if they're gonna do the same thing with cells at work because based on the trailer, you do show they do show at one point. I think like the not the exoskeleton, but the vascular system of the body, and you just see them zoom into one of these like red blood cells in the body, and you see the red blood cells running around. I if you do it right, you never go outside the body. That's the only way this works, unless it's for some reason like, oh, it's being cold outside, or this new pathogen's coming. Then you should go outside the body. But even then, those are like one or two, like quick, like a minute or 2 minute scene, and you're back in the body. Gotta see how they're gonna deal with it. I don't want. I don't think I think the thing about the movie too, and the movie at least had the Almost Jones had charm because all of the characters that they played off of in Almost Jones were other parts of the body and other cells in the body. Cells at Work, I don't remember the anime too much because it's been a long time since what's on anime. Did they play off other things in the body very often?
Yes, yes, they did. They did a lot actually.
Okay, so if that's still there, I'm fine with that. But I also think too, also the thing about Osmosis Jones, it was also more funny about it. They played jokes with it. Like he was in love. I think the main character's in love with like a white blood cell, who they drew her like something out of like a sexy cartoon. Like it it kind of had a reason to be the way it was. And he was on the police force, and he was a cop, and the chief was bad. It, I don't know what you do with Cells at Work unless you're going to really lean into the more comedy side of Cells at Work, the more comedy side of something, not super serious. But that's just me. Um, I have another question then. If this does work out, giant quotation marks,
Mm.
what other show would you want to see live action? If they were to do what other show could you see doing live action if it had the potential to do a live action?
Is it like what anime show?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Oh man,
And
bro.
something in kind of in the same realm as Cells at Work, in the same like not the same genre, but like in the same kind of like it's not gonna be like your Demon Slayers, your JJKs. We talked about that, but like something within the Cells at Work era could be done as a if it's an anime already could be done as live action.
Bro, I mean, that's almost a loaded question. I mean, I gotta look and do some research on that. But if I
Mm-hmm.
had to choose off the top of my game, go ahead and do Demon Slayer.
Okay. Okay. I I think the thing is we're getting announcements for that kind of this kind of stuff now. I'm just like I don't want to just see the anime world kind of just go, we're gonna throw everything live action, or we're gonna try everything as an anime. No, we don't need to do that. But that's where I think the last couple of years have kind of given us because it's more or less the fact that they're gonna be things throwing things out there to see what sticks, but at the same time understanding they can do that with no real consequences. Because if it doesn't do well, they're not going to be too worried about it.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, this is somebody's money, somebody's investment.
True, that is true.
So depending on what they do and how they do it, you're either wasting somebody's money or you're going to make them some money. That's just the way I look at it.
Yeah, but I think also too think about the fact that like I think that's the other thing about this. Like, who is this for? Because it's not for hardcore fans of the series. It feels
I'm
like
sure they have his fans, but I haven't met any.
oh, and actually that answers my question. So I had to go back to the tweet. So it is a live action movie preparing in Japan this December. So which tells me they're doing the Osmosis Jones kind of like full on feature film with that kind of like okay, all right, that's that's coming from Anime Corner. So that kind of tell me then they're really trying to see how far they can take it if they're doing a live action
Well,
movie.
I mean, okay. One of the things that I like about this show is
Mm-hmm.
that it does give you vibes of well, it does give you education. It does give you educational vibes.
Yes, and that was the one thing with Osmosis Jones that originally started doing it. It gave you an educational thing, so I do give them that credit. Both shows do that very well. I, I think
That's
that's
about it.
yeah, that's the sad part. That's about it for the show. It's educational, and usually educational anime don't do very well, but in this case, it did pretty well. If it's only airing in Japan until in December, that also gives me the thing of like, okay, unless it does super well in Japan or well enough in Japan, it's not coming to the States anytime soon, which is fine. I would be okay with that. But eventually, if it does do well enough in Japan, I could see coming in the Crunchyroll or something of that nature because it's just the way that's the way it is. Um, I would hope to, if you do your cards right, the I think the show can have more of a. You can make the show more kid friendly in the sense like it's more towards little kids because you can just kind of make it more fun and simple. And it doesn't have to be this like ultimate production with adults in mind.
But
But
I think this show was supposed to be aimed at that genre for of kids.
it was, yes, it was. It was originally supposed to be aimed to go towards kids, but it's funny more adults got into it than kids did,
Eh,
which is also kind of like not great, but it
yeah.
kind of worked. It kind of worked. Um, what is your confidence? What is your confidence level of this actually doing well? From like a 1 to 10 scale, what do you think for a live action movie? What's that confidence level at?
I honestly think it's gonna flop.
Oh,
I'm just being completely honest. I think it's
so
gonna flop.
so is that like a 2 1 or 2 on the confidence scale? Not even that.
I'm saying it's about a 3.
Okay,
Yeah.
3. Okay, okay. I I kind of go. I'm gonna kind of go with you. I'm gonna go a little bit higher. I'm gonna go like a 4, 4 to 5. I'm only gonna say. I'm gonna say around a. I'm gonna say around a 5. I think it will do okay. I don't think it will flop super bad. It will not hit those super lofty. I think they want to hit because I don't think the style of this movie would have to really make you want to um like really want to make you want to go see the movie unless you've seen the show originally. Like if you've seen the show originally and you know what the show's about, I would say go the movie. People will go see the movie. If you don't have any clue about cells at work and you go see this randomly, you're not gonna be super lost, but you'll be kind of like, huh? Oh, okay, kind of weird.
Yes, weird. That's the word. I couldn't think
Yeah,
of it, but it's like
yeah, and
it might leave a bad taste in your mouth, but yeah.
correct. Correct. And ultimately, for me and you, we both know of the Osmosis Jones movie and the series that it's kind of playing off of, which is Osmosis Jones is actually really good. So I don't really think you're never gonna get to those heights, but if you do, cool. Um, we'll see.
I
Let
mean,
me know
I
what
do
y'all.
realize that Osmosis Jones wasn't everybody's cup of tea, but it was mine.
Yeah, Sam. It was not like I like the show more than the movie, but the show is actually really well done and really fun. So they understood what they were doing with the show. It's like if you took um we kind of seen that we kind of seen this now because they've done the whole it's kind of like taking something from like the older era of anime and finally making a movie for it and it doesn't really hit with the fan base even though the fan base likes it and there's a similar version out there. Like I think that's why, and we're gonna talk about this because we're gonna get about to get the charts. We'll get into that in a second. I think that's why Deon's not liking Jobless, partially because what is Jobless pretty much based off of? And you'll never guess what I'm about to say.
I don't know what are you gonna say?
Harry Potter. It gi-
Yeah.
it gives you Harry Potter vibes, but not super strong like Harry Potter vibes because it's not doing everything that Jobless not doing everything that Harry Potter does. But for some parts of it, it's Harry Potter IT. But also matches with Harry Potter, and they tried to do comedy with that, and that didn't work.
Well, you worked in the first season. We don't know what the heck they did the second season.
It's the second season, and Jobless is this more serious version of what Mash was trying to do to make comedy out of Harry Potter. But even then, they're going kind of super serious when they're doing the whole, and uh, men stuff, and then they're doing this like like down to this still sad plot point of him being depressed, depressed and things. And it's just like, yeah, but they're trying to make it more to real life. They're not trying to make it just super,
This
not they're
is
not
true.
trying to they're not trying to suspend your disbelief for something out there when they could.
Well, I mean, but the fact I think they're taking the fact that they can do a quote unquote live action show and about the human body and get away with it.
Yes,
The question
yes.
is how much, what kind of plot point will they have with this, and where will they take it?
Because I don't want to see. I don't want to see them doing like a plot point about ultimately like things like reproductive area of the body or things about how like the intestines work or stuff like that. No, but
Well, I mean,
like
even Osmosis Jones did something with the intestines, though.
they did some of the intestines, but like if you're gonna do that, that's fine. But I don't want to see the like reproductive area much or that kind of stuff unless you're just gonna really just kind of talk about it but gloss over it or kind of combine it with something else. There's things you don't really need to learn about through a show. There's also things you shouldn't learn through a show. But hey, shows can do whatever they want. We'll kind of see. We're kind of see where it goes. I have faith it's not going to be terrible. I have faith it's not going to be like you say a 3, but I don't have faith it's going to be like 8. I think
Oh no,
it's not going to be an 8, but it might be a 4 or 5. It might be mid.
now
But still.
that would be a pleasant surprise, though.
Yes, it would be. Oh yeah, if it did really well and just kind of it just not getting the recognition it deserves, yeah, absolutely. But let's get into these anime charts. And I'll say this right now for Anime Corner, this is the top 10 for week 9, from May 31st to June 7th. I will say this right now, these charts are so interesting. Konosuba is at number 1, went up 3 spots. Their Last 5 comes back in the chart at number 2. Jobless went up 2 spots at 3. Go Loser Ranger dropped a spot. Windbreaker dropped 4 spots. Demon Slayer went up a spot. Chilling Another World, which is level 2 cheap power, went up 3 spots to 7. Kaiju number 8 dropped 2 spots to 8. And Black Butler went down a spot to 9. And Delicious and Judging went up 3 spots. Chris, I'm going to ask you, what do you think about this chart, this top 10?
Man, okay, so I need to catch back up with Konosuba.
Yeah.
I need to rewatch the entire series of Day Alive because I know that is a good series.
Yep.
Jobless is where I feel like that's an accurate spot. Go Loser Ranger, I can see why y'all fell. I can see why Windbreaker fell because they already had their big moment. Demon Slayer, yeah. I agree with this list.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you the two that you said you see why they fail. Why do you think Go Loser Ranger fell a spot? That's really odd.
Because because they have a lot going on, and their story as well told as it still is a bit tricky to follow. It's not the easiest show to follow, and that's my opinion.
Okay.
Because at first you have a boss monster, and then you don't. He's hiding somewhere, and then the girl takes over a different body, and it's like, wait, y'all are moving a lot of elements really quickly.
Okay. But couldn't you say the same? Couldn't you say the same thing about Train to the End of the World? Because Train to the End of the World has a lot of elements.
And I do say the same about Train to the End of the World.
Okay.
But
Okay.
Train to the End of the World builds their show around the weird.
Okay. I see what you're getting. I see what you're getting at. The weirdness is built into Train to the End of the World. With Go Loser Ranger, the weird's not built into it. It's kind of like they just do it.
Exactly.
All right. I think the other one too is really the one I'm more interested by. You said Windbreaker. You're not surprised when you're dropped because they just had their resolution. Is that mean Windbreaker? Do you think that means Windbreaker's not going to have another fight the rest of the season or anything dealing with another gang? Because if that's the case, then yeah, I
think they will, but that's what's going to be the leads off into their next season.
Okay, that's the teaser season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
because I believe there's going to be another gang that somebody else in the gang has like a real problem with, and then it's like a deep, some like like really messed up.
Messed up hatred. Okay. Okay. Or not hatred,
Hmm.
but messed up view on what they thought about.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. Um, I will say this: I'm happy to see the Listen Dungeon back at 10. Black Butler, I've seen parts of Black Butler. I don't know much about the school arc here. Um, Chilling on the Board is one I'm really surprised to get in the top 10. But I know Deon said he liked it. I know you said you liked it. Um,
Hmm.
I'm gonna look at some real quick. I just want to see the rest of this list because I think the rest of this is gonna make some sense. Do top 20. So okay, so the Dilemma of How to Love Your Elf Bride at 11. My Heroes at 12. I was reincarnated as a 7 times princess at 13. The time I got reincarnated as slime was at 14. Moonlight Fantasies at 15. The Misfit of a Demon King Academy Part 2 is at 16. Spice and Wolves at 17. Uh, a reincarnate says he uses a appraisal skill to rise in the world. That's at 18. Grandpa and Grandma is at Trinjungian is at 19, and Mission Yokohama family is at 20. Uh, Based on the rest of this list from 11 down, I'm actually kind of surprised my heroes above Slime in this list a little bit. I think those should be flipped. I'm I'm kind of surprised Spice and Wolf is so low, but I also know Spice and Wolf's a remake, so if you've seen it once before, you already know what happens.
Not to mention the story is probably too slow for new people.
New people, which basically teaches you things, but it also has a very interesting way of teaching you things.
Hmm.
Um, I'm surprised Yokohama Family is staying in the top 20. I'm actually surprised based on the last episode.
I mean,
Based on the last episode we saw, it doesn't feel like Yokohama Families should be in the top 20, but that's just me.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like everybody watched the episode so they to get the next story with them was like, okay, we didn't get it, so now they must be waiting for the last episode to really come out with a bang.
Hmm. I feel okay. I'm gonna say this right now. If I keep going, God's game we play is at 26. I think that should be higher. That should definitely be higher. That's coming from a person who championed Rouge for a long time. I'll champion for this. I don't think it's being in the top 10. It should be at least in top 15 because it's a fun show to watch, and ultimately it has a good story behind it. Yeah, they're in the last little act of their story, but it's a fun little act. Um, Remonsters where it's at. I can see why Remonsters there at 27. There's nothing really else that's out of the ordinary from this list. Glass of the Gods is at 39. Vampire Dormitory is at 41. The last episode was kind of weird to me. So I don't surprised by that. Yeah, the rest of the list is actually pretty understandable. I'm wondering now if this is the first time we've really noticed it where a show is solidified a lot. In the sense that, or it's not shows, but the charts have solidified in a way it's like, okay, you can see why these shows are hitting the way they are.
Well, at the end of the season, like we are, it should be solidified
It should,
because any
but
show should be they should have had their cliffhangers, their story should be revealed. Like we should be at the end game.
yeah. But at the same time, we're also at the point where, at the same time, remember last season where it didn't really solidify until week 10, well week 10, 11, because everything kept bouncing around so sporadically.
And here we are.
That's true. That is true. We are there.
Hmm. Now, take a look at this other chart though. You ready
Mm-hmm.
for this?
Yep. Go ahead.
So for one is jobless. Two is the Delicious in Dungeon. Three, Konosuba. Four, Jellyfish Can't Swim. Five, Demon Slayer. Six, Kaiju 8. Seven, Spice and Wolf. Eight, Slime. Nine, The Seventh Prince. And 10, Go Go Loser Ranger.
Okay. Okay.
Now, just for S and G, 11 is My Hero Academia. 12, Euphonium. 13, Train to the End of the World. 14, I can't pronounce that. And 15 is Girls Band Cry. So these
I
charts are literally upside down from each other.
guess they are because they have. And I'm gonna ask you this, but this chart it's mainly based on like people watching. Do you think it's a lot more hardcore fans watching Jobless than there are on Anime Corner?
Yes. I think
Okay.
people who are on this particular chart, what's the name of this one?
It's RL Reddit engagement and rating chart. I think what it says.
Well, they have another name for it,
Oh,
but
it's no, there's no name for it. Okay.
but they actually look at the viewer count of how many viewers each show had, and they go instead of popularity.
Okay. Okay. I the only reason I asked this is because it's interesting to me, and I'm only bringing this up because I know Dion mentioned it. Do you think if you're not a huge, if you're just a casual fan watching Jobless, are Dion's gripes with the show understandable?
Absolutely,
Okay.
especially when especially when okay. So when it comes to Dion, and if I'm being correct, and he's looking for consistency, Jobless has not had consistency. I mean, because well, now that I think about it, it actually has had consistency. Because when you think about the first 4 or 5 episodes of Jobless, it's exactly like the first part of the second season.
Yeah, I,
See, I mean, but although to change the entire story the way that you have, I mean, it really is good storytelling on a much bigger scale. It just the question is how big of a show can they make?
okay, okay. I'm gonna play devil's advocate here, and it's interesting. I'm, but at the same point, look at something like Hero, and it's gonna be interesting what I'm about to say with this. Hero, good storytelling. At the end of season 6, we got to the beginning of season 7. We had a little 4 episode recap, and then season 7 officially started. Once season 6 started, it picked up where season 6 kind of left off. Ever since then, it's been the same story, but super slow and not really having any progression. On the flip side, Jobless has changed the story up for season 2 a little bit, and we get to the point where we see um, we kind of see where Rudy has grown as a character partially, but now he's at a dilemma of getting to save his former master and doing all these things, and it's kind of gotten to be a it's kind of gotten to be harder to be himself, but also not be like his father. And I think the thing that Dion gets with that is the fact that you changed not genres per se, but how the story is told. And I think the big thing with that, I kind of disagree a little bit because he wasn't caught up to the point from where now. But with now, we're getting back into the fighting, getting back into what they do, dungeon crawling, all that kind of stuff. I think if it wasn't for that, I think a lot of this middle section would be a lot of people's boring section for Jobless.
Yep, I can agree with that.
But I also think that's also at this it helps Jobless because Jobless has very strong character development. Probably one of the few shows where the character development is like a on like par with like Attack on Titan levels, Demon Slayer levels, because they know how to make the characters more interesting and more fun. I also don't feel like Deon's fully off in this sense. Do we want to hear about Rudy just being not out of it, not really there? No, but the flip side of that coin too, comparatively, is the thing that I think Mash did very well, but Smash himself was not great at. Mash, as a show, had a very good supporting cast, so all your side characters were very interesting, very well, very fun, knew how to play off Mash. But Mash was kind of a wooden board. In this case, Rudy's very smart, strong, can do a lot of things, but he doesn't. He's basically one of those few guys that he's like the everyman in this case, in the sense like he can't really do nothing wrong for the most part, outside of a few emotional things we've seen. But the supporting cast around him is a lot more interesting because they play off that type of guy. I could be sounding weird when I'm saying this. I hope this makes any sense.
No, so correct me if I'm wrong. So you're trying to say that the show is like they're basically trying to do too much.
Yes, I think they're doing too much, and I'll bring you one more good example of this, and it's one that me and you were kind of watching through. Remonster, because the thing with Remonster, I think me and you both kind of don't like outside the time thing, and doing a day by day thing, weird. But if we did week by week, month by month, probably better. I think the other problem with that is the fact that with Remonster, that our main character is overpowered to the gills, and he really hasn't had any conflict. True conflict where it actually cost him anything. But also, the man's gotten wealth out the wazoo. He has a couple children, about 4 or 5 children now. Like the dude's the dude's so overly doing well, you can't really feel with the character. And you're doing a day in the life of like Goblin who's got all this power and wealth now.
I mean, but Reed Monster, I think it was supposed to be a somewhat different show, though.
Correct. And I'm not gonna, and that's why I'm not like fully comparing it, but you get where I'm getting at, where Rudy started off really not great at the beginning of season 1. He finally got picked up and he kind of got back to his senses after Man God helped him. Man God has helped him out throughout the way. That's the only thing about this. The linchpin has been Man God through a lot of this. Literally. And the other thing, the linchpin is Man God because he's gave him good advice and he's actually followed the advice for the most part. And the thing is, like, yeah, is it the fact that he can't think on his own, or he just knows that Man God will try to help him? No, he can't think on his own, but ultimately he loses that ability to think when he knows something in front of him. Like he's about to lose
True.
it here. He's about to lose it when he meets his former master, and he's about to go in a place where he probably shouldn't, but he's going to do it anyway.
I mean, because he's not thinking straight. But
Correct.
technically, that is his first love, though.
Correct, which is fair. So there is a plot reason for it. It just kind of, I think, what Deon's getting at sometimes with this, and other people probably got it too. Jabba's doesn't do the thing where it has. If you're gonna keep the dungeon crawling stuff, the dungeon crawling stuff should have kept throughout. But the beginning of season 2 hasn't had really much dungeon crawling, really much any of that. They did a whole school arc for a bit, which was kind of weird. I know this next arc they're about to go into is really kind of chill. I think, well, this arc they're in right now is kind of chill for the most part. Outside of the few things we saw, I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see where anime heads, because I think if that's the case for a lot of people, where you want consistency, the consistency is there, but you have to search for it.
And that's what
Yes,
people don't want.
and that's the thing people don't want to do. They don't want to search for consistency because the consistency should be there regardless of a show or of a they should have consistency within a show anyway for any amount of time.
Right.
But I mean, I don't. I don't know. I mean, I don't blame Deon for what he had to take for it. I think the other thing with Jobless kind of is not really catered. It's not catered to the group of people it should be catered to. It's catered to guys, but ultimately, if you think about it, Jobless does a good job catering to guys. But if anybody else watches, it's kind of like
Yeah.
not great. But it's funny. Demon Slayer catered to both group fan bases, guys and ladies. And then like My Heroes catered to guys and ladies. And it's funny how you don't have those shows that are just catered to one group or one group, the same age group because it's not really a necessary thing anymore. We'll see how that changes over time, but it will change. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. It's gonna be really interesting seeing where all these where Jobless ends up, where a couple of shows end up, because I think that's gonna really tell you where the future of anime is gonna head. Because if anime starts doing more character based stuff and like using side characters and using all that stuff, that's gonna be I think that's gonna be at the detriment for some fans because a lot of them just want to see action. But if we get more action based things, a lot of the character based stuff is going to kind of fall to the wayside because then people are just going to make shows with much action.
Ah, man, see, and when you get shows that just like get action, you get shows with no story.
Correct.
Shows that
No,
don't keep you around to watch to actually watch the story.
correct. And that's also kind of bad. So it it's gonna eventually balance itself out, but I don't know when that's gonna fully balance itself out. Um, but let's get into Slime episode 58. I will say right now, this episode of Slime was actually really well done. I appreciate the fact of where they're headed for Slime. We're at the end of this little mini, I think, arc, basically. Because next arc is starting in July, I think they said. It's a different arc entirely. Um, but this episode does a
So
really
I
good
think
job
they'll
of
have like a week off, so a week or two off.
correct. Week or two off, and they come back, and then they do their
Mm.
the new arc. Um, I'll be very interested to see where the arc goes, but this episode really kind of cements where they're going to probably head, what's going to be the thing that's coming forward. Um, look out for a couple things in this episode because they do a really good job of pointing out some things really quickly. So I will say that. But in a second, I will say 3, 2, 1, and then we get going. Chris, you ready?
Ready?
All right. And 3, 2, 1, let's go. Pause for a second.
Lost.
Hey, hello.
Hey yo.
Hey, Deon.
Deon, you have no idea how good Brandon timed you today.
Are you serious?
No,
Bro,
I
he
literally.
predicted that you would miss the all the talking part and come right in when we start the episode.
Are
And
you
I
then
serious?
lo and behold, you come in as soon as we're in the countdown.
Yeah. I see your thing pop up like, and Chris heard it. He says, I said pause, and he's like, and he's probably like, why'd you say pause? And then yep, there we go. Perfect timing. That worked.
That is awesome. I don't know if I'm glad that I'm that predictable, but I'm glad it works out.
It doesn't work out.
It works out in this case.
Right. That's
Yeah, so
awesome.
we just loaded up episode 58 Slime.
All right.
While you're loading it up, I want to ask you a question because we talked about it earlier, but I want to get your thoughts.
Okay.
What do you think about Sales at Work having a live action movie?
You know, at this point, I'm okay with everything getting a live action.
It's like, bring
Yeah,
it on, bring it on.
he's like they're gonna do it anyway. So
Right.
Okay,
I'm not gonna fight the wind on this one, especially because Sales at Work is one that I'm not too like critical on.
okay,
Like I watch episodes, but I'm not a like hardcore Sales at Work fan like some people
see,
are. But
okay. I'm gonna ask you this: have you seen? Because me and Chris both kind of talked about it. Have you seen Osmosis Jones?
oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so you kind of
better
get
or
why,
worse.
but
Osmosis Jones better or worse than Cells at Work?
Yes.
Oh, Osmosis Jones is definitely better.
Okay, there we go.
Yep.
There we
Hmm.
go.
Osmosis Jones is a classic, man.
That's the thing. That's the thing I was kind of getting at when Chris brought it up when we started talking about it. He was like, he mentions Osmosis Jones. I'm like, here's the problem. Osmosis Jones is good, very good, but the movie was not great. And then he said the movie came out first. I'm like, yeah, that's right. But the
Yeah.
out
But the
of
movie
body,
was good.
the
Yeah,
movie was
like there were
good.
things about the. I mean, we knew it was supposed to be a kids movie,
Right.
so yeah. And
Yeah.
then they blended live action with the cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. The concept, the live action stuff was a little out there, but
That's what Brandon said. See?
yeah, the the cartoonish part though was amazing. The cartoon
Yep.
show, I think it was Disney. I want to say
It was decently good. It was
it
decently
was
good.
it kept the original premise without becoming something too stupid,
Yes.
and that's what I liked about it.
That's
Um,
why, and that's why I'm worried. And I wanted to ask your opinion before we got into the episode tonight because I'm like, I'm not overly worried about them doing a fun take off like Cells at Work in a live action if you can just keep the fun with Cells at Work from the anime. The thing I'm
yeah,
more worried about is you doing out of body stuff for the live action. So like you're out on the street with the person who's their body they're in, or things happen within the real world and you're like, okay, I get why, and then get back into the body because it doesn't really make sense for them to be out the body super long unless you're going to show
yeah,
the effects of things happening to hit the person in,
which is
you
what
know,
they did in Osmosis Jones. You have
Exactly.
the main story, which is inside the body, but there's also a main story outside the body, which creates the story inside the body. And that
yes,
was tied together very well. And then the actors, they did their job. For what it was at the time, it was a great movie.
okay, okay,
Looking back at it now, it's like, yeah, okay, just like Scooby Doo, you know.
Yeah.
But
yeah, okay, fair enough.
my only concern would be being able to keep the two worlds separate.
That's the other big issue, and that was the one thing. Eventually, I think at the end of almost a Jones movie, they ain't both worlds kind of merge for like I think like a couple like 5 6 minutes of the movie where the thing that came out of the Moses Jones movie was out in the real world for like a minute or two. You're like, how are you outside the body and how are you walking around on his? It didn't make much sense, and it was like, I get it, but it doesn't really work the way that. And it just kind of took you out of it for a second. Then they got back to the body. Like, all right, y'all got back to where you need to be. But it's just,
Right.
I luckily it is only in Japan, which is a partial good thing for now. It's in December. What would your confidence level be of how well this will actually do, Dion?
Um, honestly, I would say I'm very confident that it would do well as a short series. Don't try to make it too drawn out and long and try to make it
Okay.
like too complicated. Do something short, sweet, to the point. The only reason why I say I think it's going to do well because Sales at Work also has a big uh con following.
Okay. All right. That's fair. That
So
is
you
fair.
already have people that are like, "Ooh, live action, give me someone to cosplay."
Okay.
That is another way to look at it.
Yeah, the cosplay scene for
Cosplayers.
the cosplay scene for Sales at Work, I know was huge when the show came out, so I do remember that
Yeah.
exactly. How long you say you wanted a short movie, basically. So you saying about an hour, 30 minutes? Not even that?
Yeah, if that,
Okay.
give me a good give me a
80,
good
80 minute, 80 minute
yeah,
scene.
80 minutes something. Even
Okay.
if you do a full hour 30, hour 45, it can't be stupid drawn out scenes.
Okay.
Like make the scenes nice, sweet, to the point, and go on to the next scene. Don't be trying to make me like. Don't try to cram too much in one scene. Basically, don't try to
Yeah.
make the whole story fit in one part. Like, and that's one thing the live action. I'm sorry, I'm choking on my own words because I don't want to say this.
Go ahead and say it because you're already thinking it. Yeah. Go.
The live action One Piece did this pretty decent, decently
Yeah.
by not having overpowered scenes and making everything fluid. Did I agree with what was happening in the scenes? Nah, but at least they ran fluidly and weren't like over drawn out or over drastically done.
Okay, that's fair. And that's the thing with I think that's the thing that I also didn't think about is the fact that at least you have the manga to fall back, the manga and the anime to fall back on for the
Yeah.
movie, so you
Yep.
can legitimately just make it off the anime if you really
And there's
wanted it
like a
to.
bunch of fan base stuff that you could play off of as
Yeah,
the creator and kind of give
yeah,
people the stuff that they asked for without breaking the fifth wall and stuff,
yeah,
And
yeah. Okay, I wanted to know. I wanted to know your take on it because I think it's one of those things where getting more of that stuff, and if we're gonna get more of it, I'm like you, cool, do it. I don't really care anymore.
you know,
But there are a few that's going to give me cause for pause, and this one gave me cause for pause because I'm like, I know of the show, I know how good the show was, but I also know it can be cheesy. So,
yeah.
like,
See, it's one of those that's big enough for you to have a little expectation of it, but
mhm.
small enough where if it doesn't do well, oh well.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
not like you're like Demon Slayer live action and people are like, hold up, no.
yeah,
If
yeah.
you screw this one, you
You're
know,
not worried. You're not worried about the fan base because the fan base for Cells at Work is not that going to be that mad
yeah,
about
it's not
this.
crucial enough for them to be like, nah, screw you, bro. Then we don't
But
never
if
want to
you
see you do anything
touched
again.
But you touch like you said, Demon Slayer, JJK, Attack on Titan. I could go down a list of
Yeah,
a couple different things. Like if you ever touch
yeah,
those stuff, people be like, "Yeah,
yeah.
no,
Just don't do the Netflix thing.
yeah, yeah."
Just don't
Or
do the
or like
Netflix.
I said, don't do the mash thing.
Oh man,
We can
yeah.
get it. We can get into that. We're not going
Don't do
to.
anything Mash does. But
Um,
but I mean like the typical Netflix thing is to take a big one and then just make it low budget. And it's
yeah,
horrible. But
and I
now
agree
they're
with you.
supposedly stepping up their anime but like the budget for their anime stuff. And it's
Hmm.
fairly decent. If Netflix did the live action anime movies the way that they did the Marvel TV series,
Hmm.
we got some
That would
gold.
be a game changer. That'd be a game changer.
That would very
We
much be
got
so.
gold. Because even
Um,
like the ones that suck did good.
oh yeah, oh yeah, oh
you
absolutely,
know?
absolutely.
So
Hmm.
Um, I like ladies and gentlemen. The reason I asked you on that, he just popped in. I wanted to ask him about it because they both follow the live action scene more than me, but also they also know Deon and Chris both know kind of what you should do for an anime that's already have an anime adaptation. If you do a live action, here's what you probably what's a good idea for this. And I think Deon has a point. This should not be no longer than maybe an hour 20, hour 30, if that. And if it's longer than that, then you're getting kind of out of the realm of like a movie at that point. You're just kind of getting kind of weird.
Well,
yeah.
I will have to give Netflix some kind of something because I know how Dion also feels about Netflix's Bleach,
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
fair.
right? And I can agree it's like a low budget film and it's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
But
But I will
also,
give it
Tubi
credit
might
that
as well have done it.
but I will give them credit though. It they did it so bad that it caused me to go back and watch the original anime. And when I started, I couldn't stop. So
Yeah.
but
But then
but
you understood why it was so bad.
yeah,
Hopefully.
but at the
Like,
same point, we've already talked about this, gentlemen. The fact of the matter is, if Netflix has something they want to promote, they're going to promote it.
yeah.
If they have nothing they don't want to promote, they're not going to promote it. So for them, when they did live action One Piece, they promoted that out the wazoo and it did very well. They put the money behind it.
Yeah.
Other things they're not going to put the money behind. And let's say we don't know if this is going to come to Netflix. We don't know where it's coming if it comes to US. I'll put it that way to you. But if it did come to like a Netflix and they put the money behind to promote it, absolutely, I think it would do fine. So the work could do fine. If somebody else like Disney or Crunchyroll picked up, I'm not too worried about that because Crunchyroll will probably put the money behind it.
That'd probably be a decent one.
Once you look at movies, and I've told this, I think to Brandon, I think maybe once to Deon, but once you look at movies as investments instead of a movie for entertainment purposes, then things start to make sense. Why things the way they are. So so all these people who want a live action, these people actually went out and found investors to pay them to push this movie on whatever
platform or
exactly.
Yeah.
Now whether they get their return or these people spend the rest of their lives paying off a debt, that's how that happens.
That's right. That's fair. Yeah. Well, I do hope you have the episode 58 of Slime up. In a second, I'll say 3, 2, 1, and then we'll get back into it. I'm back at all zeros, so hope everybody is back at all zeros as well.
Give me 1 second. Sorry.
No worries. Do apologize for that random jump cut there. If you were kind of just hoping we just got to the started the episode and I just stopped randomly. But I wanted to get his thoughts about stuff, so that was the reason I did that.
1 sec. It's loading. Sorry.
No worries. Take your time. I will say this, like I said earlier, before we started the episode, like this episode is probably one of the better ones of resolving a bunch of stuff, and it resolves everything so greatly. So look out for I'm gonna point out some things when Chris goes through when we do the review of it, because there's things where they resolve a lot of things and they tell you what really happened in certain places. It's well done for the most part.
Have you seen this episode yet, Deon?
He might have, maybe.
Well, if not, he's gonna get he's finna get a shock and awe.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, we're good.
Okay. So in 3, 2, 1, go. Episode 58, Gods and Demon Lords. By the way, I think Hanada should be bleeding out by this point, and she's still just there with a hole in her chest. Like, not just... it's weird.
In our retrospect, she should be dead.
Yeah, she should be. She should be just caught, but she's not. It's just kind of like...
wait a minute, I think she is because, well, yeah, I think she is.
Man, you were bad for this whole plot. Yep. You get destroyed for it.
Oh my god.
So I take it you haven't seen this, Deon.
Nope, I'm going in blind.
All right. It's gonna be fun for him. It's gonna be fun.
What I tell you, B?
Yep, you did.
Yeah, I like going in blind for slime. Oh, makes sense.
I don't remember seeing him rip off his to make him one of the. Oh, he turned. Okay, I don't remember seeing that part because that part was really quick, and I think it kind of cuts. Chris first watched it. It didn't really dawn on me.
Oh shit!
By the way, you don't give a demon your blessing of like get rid of them, and you have
That's why Deon said, "Oh shit."
Yeah, he did. He did.
I
Yep, he did.
apologize.
No, you're good.
Oh,
You're fine. You're
I
fine.
was not expecting that.
Well, and here's the thing. When I first saw that, I'm like, why don't you give a demon free reign? Why don't you give a demon free reign to do anything? But he's like, but he did ask. Rimuru did ask, do you have proof? Oh, all these reporters from other
Well,
countries.
Deon, if it means anything, I think I did the same thing. I said, "Oh shit."
You did. You did. The first time you watched it, you were
It
like
was
that.
just a reaction, though. I did not mean it.
I will give them credit. Out of all the
Oh,
side
man.
characters you've built up Diablo the best, and he's got some of the best stuff in the back half of this arc for a guy who just be a side character.
Yeah. And you get like Benimaru and all them in the first shoot, what,
Mm-hmm.
4 seasons? I mean,
Yeah.
4 arcs or whatever.
This is the third arc, right, Chris?
Technically, this is like the fourth arc, but
Oh,
it's the first part
First.
of season 3.
season
So
3.
so
Okay.
that technically makes it season 5.
Oh, okay. So we're about to jump into the fifth arc, but
Right.
season 6, if you really want to go down that route. Yes, they were. You're talking to a demon lord. What do you expect him to? He figured that out pretty quickly.
Well, not to mention Diablo is right there in his ear too. So
Yeah. And by the way, why would you try to frame Diablo of all people? That was kind of not a great idea.
I mean,
well, they thought he was just a regular.
demon, yeah.
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 And you're a archbishop church people. Who's better to blame than a demon?
Yep, it broke it.
Master Chef is the skill.
Because a chef can supposedly cut through any kind of any almost anything.
But the funny thing, she can't cook worth a lick. That's the bad part.
Man.
Man,
So it's like she can't cook. So why? How she get this ability? How she get the other ability? And I love the fact she's like, "You made it back without telling me."
You didn't even explain it, just skip the subject.
Yeah, we need to talk. We need to talk about what you just did. ran away on without my orders.
Let the
No,
dust
he
settle for you.
no,
Get
he
to
took that
talking
like a
trash.
boss. Basically.
Not him standing there all dope and stuff like yeah, holding the girl and everything.
Look at her in the background. I think she's dead.
She's supposed to be dead. I love the fact too. She's laying in the background. Remember, walks toward the camera, and you can. It's that walk of like, you're done for. You're done. Like, ain't nothing gonna save you now.
Going, I guess it's my turn. What?
Who's there?
Not the
Oh, you're
goddess.
her.
Ooh wee.
It's funny. Y'all did all this with really no orders, and yet you fear her. That's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
This has got to be the coolest scene this season.
Oh, it's one of the coolest things. Here's the thing. A demon says, I want you to report on something that actually happened. Here's what actually happened. By the way, I'm surprised you asked. Thank you for asking. And you follow his order? Like, what?
He's talking about protecting me. People trying to kill everybody.
Talking about getting back to the original program, bro.
Yep. Getting back to what was supposed to actually happen. Now let's deal with the thing that was also in front of us. He just put you all in the void.
Nah, just what this part is so cold.
Oh, well, I didn't remember he did that. I thought,
Yes.
oh, wow.
What?
That's awesome.
Yeah, stand down.
See, she actually the fact that she said
She was
resurrection means
dead.
she was. Yup.
Actually, this is a small detail I don't think they say. If you think about it, look her at her eyes when they show her again. If they show them up close, I know from afar you can't really tell. Did
It's
anybody
still
else notice
close.
that? Oh, this is sad. This is sad. Oh, they had to show this. I forgot about this part. Oh, that line is kind of disgusting. I didn't know that was.
Oh,
Jeez, she is.
I mean, those arrows came from our world.
Yep. Now look at her eyes. One is red, the other is blue.
They've
If
been
you,
like that ever since we saw them in last season.
Yeah,
but
they've been
think
like
about it.
that since the um little
But think about
castle
this.
art.
She's part demon, part god, part demon, part angel.
Where she, they kind of explained that in one of the other ones, like, but
Yeah,
yeah,
so this really fully gets you that thing of like, oh, she can
but
resurrect people, but also
but
she can be ruthless.
well, no, but she evolved from a demon or from a vampire.
Yeah, she did in the
So
vampire.
so she has power over life and death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she's not technically a god. She's just lording over these versions of humans because she's
Consumers.
everlasting. Yeah, she's taking that position.
Mm-hmm. There's a sign you tampered with the message.
Finally.
Ding 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 ding. And you're done.
Yeah, they got rid of all of them in one episode. Bro, this evil look that she got in the background.
Yeah, she like, I don't like you.
Bro, she went full Wednesday from Adam's family.
I feel so sorry for him.
And with that, the end of an arc.
Yep. And that was the end of Reincarnated Slime episode 58, God and Demon Lord. Chris, I'm gonna let you handle this. I'm gonna let you do it in 3 parts. Sir, kick that off for us.
Alrighty then. So let's start off with the beginning part. So this part is basically we come back into Hinata. She's pretty much like clinging to life, but with yeah, well, I mean like literally clinging to life. And this and all the other knights are bound because the 7 clergy guys came out their way just to clean up their mess basically. So they come out there thinking they big and bad and they gonna do something. And they even found out that one of the guys that's with Hinata that supposedly rode with her is one of them in disguise. So there's a whole bunch of that. So then we get to the fight. So these little dudes think they just gonna come out here and just do some kind of holy break on them. And then this is when Rimuru, his skill activates. And when I say it reactivate, it's one that we had all thought was over and done with, gone, yeah, but it somehow brought it back, and now here we are again fighting it. It uses Beelzebub to pretty much absorb their whole first start, and so now they scared. And then Remu breaks into a little discussion with Raphael, like, bro, we got to talk because some of the things you can do is kind of out there. So that's that, and then and then they try another attack, which is supposedly more grander than the last, and and Rimuru ends up using another skill and just blocks it, and then walks and just stands there like a BA. I mean, like, what else can y'all do? So then we flip over to Diablo, and I'll stop there for the first part.
Deon, I'll let you start off with this. What do you think about this first section? This first section basically kicks off like the clergy think they're so big and bad, but then they finally walk into a situation where Rimuru knows everything that's happened up to this point.
This is the meat and potatoes of the time I got reincarnated as a slime. This is what the show does very well. You get these, I want to say, the battles almost play background to the wit and the just dynamics of the characters. Like, we're in the middle of a battle of god class warriors, and we're still having dialogue that is fire.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You know? And I'll just leave it right there because, yeah, this next part, oh my goodness.
Chris, continue, because this next part where it really kicks off, and I think
this is my personal favorite part of the entire season. So we switched to Diablo. Now, keep in mind, this is after Diablo has already filled in Rimuru on the situation that's going on. And so he asked Rimuru, as humble as he knows how, he tells him it will be I think it's a good decision not to let them live. And Rimuru says, well, as long as you can bring me proof, have at it. And that's exactly what he did.
Here's the thing, and I'm sorry to stop you, but here's the thing with that. Rimuru says, as long as you bring me proof, you have my blessing. And then they show Diablo's face smiling. The thing is, when a demon smiles and he's just like, you give me free reign. All right, then. Thank you. I'll do whatever I want now. It doesn't matter.
He was already mad at what happened in the last episode. They disrespected Rimuru.
Sorry to cut you off, Chris. You can continue, but that just little section, that scene there was just kind of interesting how they played that out.
Epic scene.
But I mean, it gets better. So Rimuru gives him permission to go ham. And he just like he does that creepy smile that he does, and he's like bit. So then he turns and looks at all of the reporters and is like, I'm finna say all y'all. And they was like, for real? They was like, he's like, yeah, but before I do that, but you know, they kind of asked him like, okay, so what do you want us to do? Do we need to do? And he's like, I just want y'all to report the truth, report everything that y'all see here today. So the reporters would be like, that's really all you want? Yeah, like really, bro, that's really all we want. So
'Cause that's his
here we go.
proof.
So and then so right as he reassures the reporters, he turns to the king and said, I'm gonna save everybody but you. I do
Battle
not
left.
like you. You disrespecting my homie. Like, nah, bruh. Like, I can't even let you live after that. And then so now here's the king pleading with everything he got because he know he done messed up. Like, yeah, bruh, you messed up. You really messed up. And so he even throws the crown back out there, like, here, I give you the crown. Reaper was like, well, Diablo is at this point, like, if I was Diablo in my head, I would have been thinking, like, bruh, you know, all of this could have been avoided if we just stuck with this plan in the first place. But yeah, here you are about to die, and it's like, yeah, I'm not finna save you. So then here comes back with the seven clergy church, and they is like, you gave us time to get this, and you know, and all that talking and stuff. And here you go. They do now. I noticed that they did use the same spell as the ones they use on Reaver.
Yep. 3 and 3.
So, hmm but Diablo stands in the middle of it, grinning, and then snaps his fingers. Next thing you know, they're in a hole looking at another mention thing, and they're over here talking about, oh, the spell is gone now. Where it's like, man, look, y'all in trouble, and y'all don't even know it. And then next thing you know, whatever little dimension that they're in starts shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And next thing you know, they're in like it literally just you see their faces. It's like, bro, that was a real hell torture. I mean, that was I don't. It doesn't get any more. Yeah, that was pretty. He literally compresses them like a tin foil, and then the tin foil just fades away.
Yeah.
Like,
It looked like crumpled paper in his hand.
It did. It did.
like he was about to go Kobe.
And
go ahead, Brandon.
here's the thing about this middle part. And thank you. And you're doing a very good job, Chris. I appreciate it. Like, think about the fact that Diablo literally goes despair. I think is what he said. Snaps his fingers. Has that happen? He makes a pocket dimension within their own world and goes, "Oh, you're done. Y'all are done," and just closes the pocket dimension on them. And everybody's done. And after the pocket dimension thing, you just see the king like, and doesn't he couldn't say a word after that. It was so crazy to me how they did that so well. And I'm thinking, and I said it during the episode. Diablo is one of the most fun characters in this show for me. I love the character Diablo because he has some of the best lines, some of the best demeanor of the show. I have to ask you, Dion, what do you think about this middle part?
Man, this middle part was diabolically hysterical. You got the politics that Diablo is playing. Like it doesn't even seem like it unless you put two and two together from the last few episodes. Like the things he's doing here, to them, he's this diabolical demon. Ooh, scary. But he's still playing his role as Rimuru's general. Like everything is a chessboard with this guy, and it's freaking beautiful the way he plays this out. Not to mention the fun he's having doing it. Like what? This demon is having fun toying with these people's not only physical bodies but emotions, and it's hilarious to watch.
Like you really see the demon be a demon. Like honestly, and out of all the other animes out there, this is probably the truest sense of yeah.
He threatened the king. He's like, I want to kill you, knowing good and well he's not going to kill him because Rimuru didn't give him permission to kill him. So he's not going to kill him. But the king doesn't know that. And then he leans in to tell him. This is the part that I really focused in on. He's not announcing it so that the reporters can hear him. He's leaning in so that only the king hears him say, "Oh yeah, the champion should have been the king in the first place. What do you think about that?" And now the reporters get to hear the king say, "Oh, I'm thinking such and such the successor."
Getting
It's
back to the
like,
program.
yeah, the politics, man. Awesome. Diablo
But
for president.
also in that also
Be
in that
careful what
little
you ask for.
also in that little sequence, Dion, I also love the fact he's leaned in on saying that a lot. And the king goes, I'll give you the throne, I'll give you power, I'll give you money. And Diablo leans back and goes, the throne.
Yep.
Okay. I see what you're saying. And then he goes through the whole diatribe like the throne, you think the throne should be this champion and all. And that's when but it's like that's what Diablo wanted in the first place.
In the
You just want
first place, that was the
the,
whole plan.
the throne, nothing else. The throne. And it's just kind of like, all right, all this could have been avoided very quickly. I love that little interaction because just like Diablo being himself and the king being a coward, and Diablo's just playing at that cowardly emotion, and just like I'm just keep making you feel like a cow, making you feel like a coward.
Have you all heard that expression? A hard head makes for a soft behind.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
This is
He
like a
learned
great
today.
example for that.
He learned,
Like,
didn't he? He learned quick
He,
too.
he learned very quick. Chris, finish this out. Finish this back half out.
Okay, so this back half, thanks for Dion for filling in the little middle section in between there. So as we get back to Rimuru and everybody, Hina, that battle is concluding, and then the seven clerks, they don't know what to do. As they are about to try to flee, here comes the other demon lord, demon lord Luminous, who they revere as a deity, as a god, and she's like, not only did I not give y'all permission, but y'all still messed up. Okay, and then walking past them, she goes and heals Hinata, heals her right up. Now just as I paused for this one section, I knew she was dead, and I had to watch this show 2 times to realize because she said resurrection, she really was dead.
yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She really did.
Which
I
is
mean, I
why
don't
they
see how
probably,
somebody could survive with that big old hole in their chest.
You wouldn't.
you know
You
what I'm saying?
wouldn't.
But that was a good plot hole fix, though. I will hand it
Yeah.
to him. That was a good plot hole fix. So as we get to the scene, she's being revived. We see her whole life flash before her eyes. So I guess that happens in the resurrection too. You kind of like, I guess that's like your memory. You're reliving your life, so you get all your memories back. I mean that just seems feasible to me. Anyways, so we see her background story, and it's pretty sad. It looks like her father killed himself, and her mother went crazy after, and then she was transported into a world where she got powers because she felt some type of way about the life she lived. So finally, so she opens up her eyes, and the first thing she does is make fun of Rimuru for looking at her chest. I was like, you know what? If that's not the most Ikusai trope slash anime trope that y'all see, they really went from super serious, calm, and hey, here's the funny.
Yeah, yeah.
So and then towards the end, when they're all back in Rimuru's village, the person who's waiting there is Demon Lord. I mean, not Demon Lord, but the Dragon Veldora. Now, you only know about the strife that Luminous and Veldora have if you really been paying close attention the entire season, plus a few of the tidbits. But she really does not like him, but she knows that he's still a friend. Anyways, she proceeds to beat his butt. Like, I mean, she took out a sword, used some magic on him, and it looked like he was really being inflicted in pain. I mean, and that's pretty much the end of the story. Yeah.
First of all, I'm gonna thank Chris for doing that. He's been doing that all season for us. He's been the most critical whip slime. I have to give him credit for that.
Thank you.
I'm gonna ask you first, Deon, for this. What do you think about this back half? And what would you rate Slime Reincarnated Slime episode 58 as a rating?
Ooh, okay. So while I think about the rating, this back half, you have this very touching story. And then you have a moment where you realize that Rimuru, and it's not, I don't even know if this was the intention, but for me, you realize that Rimuru is as great as he is, not because of the fact that he's reincarnated, but because of the fact that he's great. Like his lifestyle led him to be this way. Because now you see that the other resurrected people are, they have essentially the same potential,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know? And it's like that moment of clarification that yeah, Rimuru is the deal. He really is dope. But that's just me. You have this all powerful moment, and it's a moment I'm thinking of. They broke up into sections of three, all except for one, and then the one got killed by Hinata's follower, but then he poofs back into the room with the little girl, the grandchild or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like, who is she supposed to be? I'm curious now because now our bad guys are all gone. And
Well, let
Luminous,
me
who's yeah,
let me interject. So the reason I left them out is because they did have a scene in like episode 3 or 4. So this is like kind of like a Mafetic family that really runs Falmouth,
yeah,
and and part of the next season is that they want to they well okay. See, this is why I gotta break this down, Rick. So you remember in season 1 when Rimuru met with King Gazelle, and King
yeah,
Gazelle told him building a city here, you're going to disrupt trade routes. Later on in the next season, we figured like when all these people come, like Rimuru, they actually discuss because Rimuru's town is the center of trade, thus leaving Falmouth. So this family is losing money because of Rimuru. So this is actually a very long awaited plot point.
yeah,
So so that's yeah, it's a lot to unpack in that. So I left it alone.
yeah.
Long
I'm
term
just
storytelling, as they say.
Yes,
I'm
very
just
much so.
curious as to the point because I know in this season, I want to say episode 3 of this season, they were all sitting in a room with like 7 people, and this guy came in and he's like, "Let me be a part of it. I'm gonna kill you all or whatever." And now we don't really see too much of that. So it's like, where do we go from here now that we've got God on our side?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how do we have
Well,
an enemy now that we've got God on our side?
but okay, but see that is also explained though because okay, in so we know from one of
The
the not
castle
the
arc.
diary episodes,
The,
no,
the
but in
castle
one,
arc when we see
yes, the
Bidamaru's
castle
brother.
arc. Yeah, they explain that that's where we first hear about who the god is, and they do a thorough explanation of who she is
Yeah.
and how she got her powers.
Yep.
So we know that she is just playing the part of a deity because that's how she feeds.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
hmm But
And so,
obviously, the plot point or the plot thickens is that the old dude obviously he has a power that lets him control the essence of people because he was the one controlling the seven clergy church. He is essentially
right.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
Right.
Deon, I'm gonna push for that rating. So I do need it from
Oh.
you.
Okay. So I've been teetering between like a 7.8 and an 8.3. So I'm gonna just give it a solid 8.
Okay. And you pretty much explained why. That kind of.
Yeah, like this was pretty much a well-rounded back to basics episode of Slime. This
Oh,
was good dialogue, witty, um, very thought provoking. As far as I mean, we just had a 20-minute conversation about a two second clip, like very thought provoking. It was well pushed. It didn't linger in certain areas that just felt daunting. Like, good job,
yeah.
good job.
Chris, you already kind of gave what you thought about the back half, but I do want. What would you rate episode 58 of Slime?
now I gave my opinions throughout this story, but I will say this: eight Dion giving this show an 8 is pretty good. Like, cause he it's hard to get him above a 6 point anything. Okay, but the thing I want to say before I give my score is that this is their half of the season.
Yes, it is.
Like while all these other shows are struggling to keep up with what this episode did, can you
Yeah.
imagine what it's gonna be like at the end of the season?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Therefore, I'm giving this a solid 9.8.
Mm,
Oh, okay. Okay.
mm.
Um, before I give my rating, get up. So get up. Kaiju number 8, episode 9. We'll get to that in a second. I will say this. This is probably one of the better shows of the season for me. Ultimately, gives you everything: storytelling, side characters, and a plot line throughout the season. This episode, ultimately, in my estimation, gets a 10.
Did I hear
Alrighty
that
then.
correctly?
Yes, this episode gets a 10.
I'm gonna need you to say that one more time. I think I'm losing connection.
This episode gets a 10.
Oh
And
my
here's
goodness! All
and
right, I
here
gotta hear this.
and here's why. You did some things that you don't do very well. You don't do very often. You made villains that were actually villains in the sense that they had a reason that want everybody in the story to be dead. You also made them where they have the ability to manipulate things to their will. But then on the flip side, you had two people in Rimuru and Diablo who knew how to manipulate the system to get it back in their game. It's like a game of chess. They're playing 4D chess, basically, in the sense
Mm,
that each move that one person made, they made another. On top of that, they made one more move they didn't expect. When you had Rimuru's mind consciousness make a copy of that ability to save Rimuru and everybody else involved. And then ultimately, by making that copy, what happens? Nobody gets hurt, Everybody's fine, and the doors open up, and the Luminous walks out to stop them in their tracks. That's good storytelling, and that's a good way to keep balance between good and evil. And then you tease things with the other little family that's part of family with the granddaughter. You tease things about the guy getting the throne back, and you've also teased the fact that everybody that's left in that group are all friends and care about each other and are going to work together. What else can you do with like that's a good way to end a halfway point of the season, and now you're going into another arc, which the arc is going to be called the founding of the Demon Capital arc. I'm
That's gonna
down
be
with that.
lit.
I'm down
That's
with
gonna
that.
be lit.
That's amazing. Like I can't. You gave us a reason to care about the next arc. Plus, you gave us a reason to to be interested in what they're going to do next.
I'm excited and nervous at the same time.
Correct. That's kind of the word. Like it's so good when they can do slime this way.
Like I don't see why you're nervous, Deon. Does this show not give you the consistency?
Well, here's the thing, right? And this is one reason why I gave this episode an 8. You can have this show can give you really good arcs with really good consistent episodes back to back. And then it can also give you a lot of downtime.
That
Like
is
the
that
school
is fair.
you know.
Yeah.
So it's like going off on a high note like this. I don't want the next arc to be like one battle and then it's a bunch of dialogue and talking and teaching and learning and building and crafting, and it's like, yay, now it's a slice of life and it's still good, but I left on a high energy peak.
That is one thing I will say. A lot of people did almost get very annoyed because they rehashed a lot of stuff in the middle of this season, this arc that we've already heard about multiple times. And I think a lot of people said if they did it one more time, that would have been really bad. So Deon's thing is valid. I think they won't do it for this next arc. We do need the conversation with Hinata and Rimuru. Do it once and be done with it.
We're gonna have to have a conversation with Hinata and Rimuru, Luminous and Veldora,
Yeah.
Veldora, Rimuru,
There's a
Diablo and
couple.
Rimuru,
There's a couple.
Rimuru and Raphael. Like it's gonna be a lot of dialogue happening.
There's a lot of conversations that need to be had. Some of them we won't see. Some of them we will see. I think the ones we need to see are the like Kanata, Rimuru, Luminous, Rimuru. I think we see Raphael, Rimuru if really matters, but that be it. Like
I would like to see Raphael Rimuru before they just pop another something out and be like, oh yeah, this is what we talked about.
yeah,
Beelzebub times 10, fire, like like what? Where did this come from?
yeah. But let me know what y'all think in the comments because this is going to be an interesting thing, and we're going to talk about this next couple weeks in our group chat and just kind of talk ourselves what we want to continue with for the summer. This is high on our list, probably to continue with for the summer, which is kind of weird to say. Like it'd be one that we could continue talking about because it's just that interesting. But we'll see. But right now, let's get into Kaiju number 8, episode 9. I will say this episode really does a good job about doing one thing: introducing a new villain and having one of the most exciting fights and fights and just kind of like talking points you probably have in this episode without a character being there. So this will be very interesting to get into. In a second, we'll say 3, 2, 1, and then we get going. Gentlemen, you ready?
Yes.
Let's go.
All right. In 3, 2, 1, let's go. Raid on Takahama base. He's looking back through the files, see where. Yeah. By the way, what was Chris? Is Kafka holding a coffee drink? Is that what that is?
I think so.
Okay, I know I've seen that looking can before,
Yeah,
so I know. But I just like, is that a coffee drink? Like,
I mean,
it's not like
yeah. I mean, if you think about it, they were just drinking.
yes, they were. And as he's about to go head to bed, he looks at the corner of his eye and
No, I will say that was very well timed.
yes, it was. They did that time perfectly.
That was very well timed. Still
This
one
is
of the
still my
best
favorite.
OT. Like, man, still one of the best OTSs I've seen.
But here's the funny thing. I wonder how much you paid
Right.
Youngblood
Intros.
to do this song. Because
Whatever his contract, whatever's in his contract, shoot.
like that kind of tells me you specifically picked a song for this opening that you knew to work for this show. And worked
I mean, they
so
could have
well.
made a deal.
They could have. It's just weird. It's an American artist.
I mean, he could be an anime fan and it's like, oh, heck yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. That's true.
I know I would. What?
Oh yeah.
Giant chicken birds.
Gobble gobble, mother.
That looked so cool.
It did look cool. I love look. I love looking at that kaiju.
Yeah, it looks cool.
I swear this almost looks like Ingress versus One Punch Man.
Oh, that's so creepy. A meteorite. He hit him force like a Mack truck. Wait, Chris, he said '03. Does he mean 2003?
Yeah, remember he's our age.
Oh, wow. So that means this show takes place in 2024.
No. He's our age. The main character is in his 30s, and he said it took place in '03.
Oh, wow.
So this show supposedly takes place in common time.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah. I mean, but he also doesn't technically say that he dealt with them in '03.
No, he just said they were here in
They
'03.
were
When
here in
they
'03.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, him working in the cleaning crew, they probably got a history that he had to study.
Okay, that's a little bit showing off, but all right, fair enough.
yes. Oh yes.
Oh, he gets the one. This is gonna
This
go
was
kind of
so
ham.
unfair.
And I'll say it again. Why is this OTS going so hard? OS2. What's he going so
Yeah.
hard here?
This music goes in when she goes in.
And then she just got the pose with it, right?
And she flips her hair in the same way.
It's so
And
unfair.
they explain this here though. I love how they explain this though. I give them credit. By the way, do anybody else notice that this little part here, the music is like a drumline beat?
Yeah.
Of course.
What? Like, what are you doing? Like, this is awesome, but this is kind of weird.
It's like a subline of the music before.
Yeah.
They can keep the. It's like they keep the intensity of the scene.
Hmm.
By the way, she said it's a prototype. If that's a prototype, it's a very powerful prototype.
it. Mm, I might actually start reading the manga for this one
Oh, I
after
want to
this
get the
episode.
manga eventually. I'm kind of thinking about it.
Did you
But
see
to
the
get,
ring in her eyes come at?
yep.
Ooh. Ooh. Ooh.
And the one man who only uses rerounds.
Ooh.
Clear off.
I would have liked to see his head drop and bounce, and then his body fall.
Yeah, they ain't gonna show that though. I think they're gonna do the whole like showing off the decapitations. This dude. By the way, how are you moving back so fast?
Using his punches to push you back.
Okay.
Big old smile.
You don't care. He's a kaiju. That punch. And Kafka's learning.
Nice plot cover.
Yep, he's like, I learned how to use a suit.
What does that mean?
He still cares.
He's still trying to keep it secret.
Yep.
Yeah. But you're an officer of the defense force?
Coordinate. I love the fact they're on the ground. They've parachuted in. It's just something out of like an action movie.
Yes.
Just like kind of what the.
This part right here. Combat intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Nope. And I was so wrong here. I was so wrong here when I saw it the first time.
Ooh, sashimi.
Oh yeah, this is gonna get a lot worse. I think it's something as tall as the Empire State Building.
Now, as musicians, do y'all hear these dissonant chords? Oh my
Yeah, this sounds
god!
amazing. This sounds so good. That is the end of Kaiju number 8, episode 9. I'm gonna do this in 2 parts because I'm gonna make this quick because most of this was a fight anyway. We will start this off where Kafka's done, studying for the night. He's about to go to bed. He's on the roof, kind of thinking to himself, drinking iced coffee in a can. Then he kind of is like, I'm ready. I'm about to head to bed. If I walk off, get my rest. I need to get my rest. I need to be the best I can be. As he's walking off, he looks up in the sky and you just see like looks like shooting stars, but they're not shooting stars. They're flare. They're like flare kaiju coming to the ground. And then he finally figures out, and he kind of just like, oh no, and doesn't really run, but kind of picks up its pace. Before we even see it though, like Deon said at the beginning, they did that perfectly, where they did the cut to the song. No, and didn't feel like it was like unnatural. Felt like they did that on purpose. Come back from the song, come back from the opening, and everybody hears all the flares, sees everything going on, everything's burning, and then he figures out these flying kaiju are out here, and he's seen this before, and he's like, "Oh, these are just these things. I've seen these things before. They're not usually that bad. They usually don't run together, though. Wait, they are running together. Why are they running together?" And then everybody's getting ready to go do their battle thing, get the battle stations. Vax Captain's going to take over since the captain's out of the base. And Kafka tells Vice Captain over the radio, he's like, "These kaiju aren't supposed to. They don't usually fight together. They usually fight on their own because they don't like to." And the guy comes goes, "I think they're fighting together because of something," and that something slowly walks into the picture. This other kaiju, this Dai kaiju, and ultimately, this fight all kicks off. They're trying to shoot down these bird things. Can't really do it. Kafka goes, "You have to fight underneath their bellies or their backsides because their armor is too strong. So you need to get behind them and shoot from underneath." So they try that. Doesn't really work. And ultimately, what ends up happening, Hibano gets this axe-like weapon and chops one of these down so easily. And then you kind of see that Kafka's getting better at being understanding about talking about what's happening. He said he's seen these in 2003. So that's the first part of it. I'm gonna start with Chris for this. Chris, what do you think about this first half? Because this first half was basically kind of building into what we see in the back half.
Okay, so keeping it short, simple, and specific, bro. I thought that this was going coming out, seeing the episode, this first part. I honestly thought that they were in trouble because this dude looks strong. These things is kicking butt, and they learning tactics. I mean, honestly, bro, I thought that we was about to see some of our first characters die. That's kind of what I was expecting.
Yeah, yeah. Deon, what do you think about this first part?
This is one of the rare occasions where I have no real gripes
Hmm.
with Kaiju number 8's beginning half of this part. Don't get me wrong, I have plenty of gripes with this episode,
I kind of
but
figured. Kind of figured.
at this part, it's not bad yet. I mean, we're the only thing I would not foreshadow is, or I don't know if I'm using that word in the right way, but the fact that we're like studying to fight Kaiju number 8 at this part, and then bam, here comes another Kaiju that you gotta fight. That's like,
Yeah, but yeah, I agree with that. But they do tease him at the end of the last episode, so this was not this.
yeah, no. That's why I said I have no real gripes with
Yeah,
the front
because
part of this. Like, it's all looking cool. It's all timed really well.
this back half I'm going to explain, and it's funny because this back half does something really smartly. So we figure out Humano talks about this weapon. This axe is supposed to be especially great. It's a prototype. She got it because of this. Then we see why she gets it. All the while, they're playing this drum line beat in the background of this song. By the way, the OST for this episode was really good. Really, really good. Like out of here, I don't know what they were thinking, but the OST worked. Ultimately worked across the board. Um, but they tell her we're going to give you a weapon because we think you deserve it, but also it'll help you fight against kaiju. This axe is very powerful. This axe can do some things. And then literally after they tell the vice captain tells her that, you see her use this axe, and it just looks brutal. It looks amazing. She's cutting these things out of nowhere. She thinks the axe doesn't fit her. And I'll say a line I told Chris when we first watched this episode. I said she's moving around like a ballerina with no and just so fluid. She is so fluid with this axe. And now then you hear Hibino go or Ichikawa go. She says the axe don't suit her, but it suits her personality because she's very brash and strong headed, and that works for her personality. Oh my, okay, all right, that works. Then we cut back to the captain. The vice captain goes, "Open the gate. I'm gonna get this thing out of the base." So he does. He puts it in the training facility, and this thing just wants to fight. This thing doesn't care about killing the vice captain. He just wants a good fight, and he smiles because he's getting a good fight out of the vice captain, which is kind of also creepy. And then ultimately, the vice captain says, "You could have walked through the door. It was already open. You know how much money that cost?" And I said to myself, he don't care about that. He's going to make destruction just fight. So the kaiju doesn't care. So then they go back and forth for a bit. Then ultimately we see Ichikawa helps out Himeno, gets one of the kaiju down by using freeze rounds, and then she says we need to work together. So they go in pairs of two to work together. So you have Hibana and Ichikawa work together. You have the green-haired guy and the former military dude work together. And you have a couple of their groups. On top of that, they go save Kafka goes save the girl by transforming his legs, which he thought about. Oh, I can transfer part of my body and use my legs to save her, which he did. And he said, and the girl goes, "Wait, isn't that old? You're old, dude. How did you finally learned how to use your suit? Cool." I'm like, okay, fair. Basically the end of this episode is basically they're Kafka's surprised they're all working together. They go save the little. They save the people that are injured, get them out, get them to safety. But ultimately, the kaiju's like, "I'm not playing around anymore." Vice Captain thinks he beat him. Nope. What did that kaiju do? Transforms, gets bigger, puts out the steam that if that was out in the real world would have been really high, but they're in the training facility. It doesn't matter. And then as the steam gets big, he pulls out more and more steam. He gets bigger and bigger, and the girl in the lab goes, "That fortitude level is going higher and higher. It's at like a 8 point something," she says. But Vice Captain goes, "I couldn't get the killing blow because he hit his core." And then the last thing we see is Kafka feeling the energy of the kaiju getting bigger and bigger. And it ends when they're about to face this like skyscraper like kaiju Vice Captain is, and he doesn't know what to do next. And that's where the episode ends. Deon, what do you think about this back half? And what would you give Kaiju number 8, episode 9 for a rating?
Okay, so here comes all the gripes, right? I'm sorry.
Make them short and sweet, but yes, I want to hear them
all. It's just unfair that she gets this axe, right? It's just completely unfair. I mean, that's not a real gripe, right? It's just
yeah,
that's cool.
yeah.
But it's just unfair. The only real gripe I have with this entire episode, other than that, everything was running smooth. It's typical kaiju. You get it. How come Kafka uses his legs now, but he hasn't in earlier episodes?
He had to learn how. Remember, he tried once before. He tried once before,
did it
and
when he lifted the car, so he already knows how.
But he didn't know how to just transfer that body part. He knew how to do it for certain things. Like I think the arms was kind of a guarantee. He knew how to do it for that, but he never knew how to transform his legs and use that ability to run.
See, this is one thing that I'm confused, like, because it's like
He's still learning. That's basically what they're trying to say.
You know how to turn your entire body back now. You know how to transform your face. You know how to, and this is why I'm like, I want to know, how are you learning these things? When are you learning these things? Because now I'm left with questions like this. Because your legs, you couldn't have did it when you were broken legged in the beginning. You gotta get carried on somebody's back. You couldn't do it when you jumping off a building and everybody jumps down and you're climbing down like a tadpole. But all of a sudden now, in the beginning of or not the beginning of this episode, but this back half, you just instantly like, oh yeah, I can transform my legs. It's not a learning piece. It's not a, oh, let me see if I can. It's a, oh yeah, let me do this and get there. It's just plot, man, plot armor. But yeah, other than that, it's decent. I give it a 6.
Ooh, okay. I will give you now, after 9 episodes, I will give you the fact that it does feel like they don't show you, but they don't really have to show you because he wants to do it on his own merits, and those merits of his are more important
Yeah,
than
but it's
him.
he wants to do it on his own merits until it's really time to actually shine, and then he
Yes,
doesn't care to lean onto it. So just lean on it in the first place and
but you
just get
also,
it over with.
but you
Like,
Okay,
also,
wait
you
a minute. Let me jump in here. Okay, because
okay. Let me explain.
because
Let me
come
explain
on,
one
bro.
more thing. Let me explain one more thing.
Go
Also,
ahead.
you hear Ichikawa say, "You're part of the defense force, so don't do anything careless."
yeah, after he did it.
Fair. That is fair. He did do it. Chris, now jump
Okay.
in.
Okay. Look, I understand completely where Deon is coming from, especially this late in the game. Remember, I said it, as long as you show it somewhere in the game. See, now Deon, correct me if I'm wrong. You're
Mhm.
looking for that one scene or that one episode that shows him actually trying to sit and learn how to control his powers.
Yes.
Now, yeah,
Yes. Give me
so
the Spider-Man training arc, jumping over
see,
rooftops and
Yeah,
learning how
fair,
to shoot his
fair,
webs. Like,
fair. I mean, yeah.
right,
now you're just
so
able to use this stuff. Then why weren't you just able to use it? Like, you've
now
been looking like a punk, sorry, for all these episodes, and now all of a sudden you can just use it whenever you want. Like, go
okay,
ahead.
so I understand completely where you're coming from this late in the game. Completely. Now, they're gripes because they're gripes, and I'm not even going to try to explain them. However, there were some points where he does say where he kind of gives certain hints. Like I remember when he turned in his face, he said he doesn't have full control over it. That's the
Yes.
first thing.
Yeah. He
Hmm.
does
Okay.
mention that.
Now, when he lifts the car, he was saying that that was him practicing. He does say that he's been practicing, and that's all we hear of it.
Hmm.
Until so finally, this is the last time we see it where he's learning. Where what? You know what? Let me back up just a little bit. It was like a episode or two ago where he said he's, if only he can use just his legs. So it's not like it wasn't on his mind. And so now we get to the point to where he's like, oh snap, let me try just my legs. Now see, dude, it's like I see where Dion's coming from. Like, bro, you like we see that you using it, and it's kind of like spur of the moment type of deal. But you haven't had any formal training on your own next level body, so none of us know the capabilities of what you can do. Not even him. So therefore, I just feel like his body suit or his armor is the plot of the show, and they can't tell you too much without giving away the show.
Yeah. And then it's like, so, all right, I can even understand the concept of maybe he's training off camera, right? But then that blows my mind because we know that he's constantly on camera. So where would he even be training to be able to do these things? So it has to just be him like, oh, well, let me just try this in the moment. Like, it's
Yeah. Yeah. I
the
mean,
plot of it.
This is the
It
American
has to come
superhero
out to be
episode.
like yeah, but even then, I mean, this is the Iron Man building his chute in the cave moment. Where is that? Where is the, you know what I'm saying? Batman dropping down a well full of bats. Like, we still see this buildup of the character. We have no build of this character. He just
Okay,
is who he is.
you know what? I will challenge you this. I will
Mhm.
challenge you this. Find me any American. Uh, crap, my head got switched around. Find me any American comic, like,
Mhm.
and read the first edition, like the first one printed.
Mhm.
Like, they're digital ones all over the place. There's no
Mhm.
training art. Like, there's no person learning their powers on the first
So
on the
Spider-Man.
first.
okay. Hold on. I
I'll
see where
give you
he's getting.
Spider-Man. I don't even
I,
have to read that one.
I see what he's getting at though. Most of the time with American comics, so like your Superman, even Spider-Man to a point, do that. They will do they won't do a training arc in the first edition, but they learn them over time. This is what they're getting at. That's what Chris is getting at. They can learn over time, but that over time period takes a bit. And
So
we're
it
not
depends on what pacing
But
they want to take this character.
Spider-Man and Superman got training arcs in their first editions.
Bro, Superman definitely did not.
And
but
and they're but and we're relating comic books or like the physical comic
No,
books, because you can
no,
go to
but
the
like
manga with this one and you'll probably still won't
you
see it. Or are we relating
because most mangas
arcs?
see, but in that point you would be right because most mangas do it, and
Right.
that's what we agreeing that we are missing. But I'm saying I feel like they have taken an American thing and tried to put it in a Japanese comic. I
But
can't say
even
that it's
in
working for them, but
American
it's like,
cartoons, American cartoons of their superhero characters, the in live action adaptations, they know the first thing they have to do is show you how they got their powers and show you how they learned how to use them. There's not
okay,
one adaptation of an animated series or a live action that does not do this. Comic
correct.
books get you a
yeah, there are.
pass because yeah, he's the superhero. Bam. And you said there are? Name one.
You said comics.
No, animated or live action superhero sequences that don't show them using or don't show them learning how to use their powers.
And they can be what manga. If you want anime or cartoon, like come on,
You said American cartoon superheroes.
Teen Titans,
That's not true. It's
bro.
not true. The Teen
Okay,
Titans literally trained every episode.
okay. Hold on. I'm stopping you boys both
But
right
not on
there.
their powers though. Not
I'm
on
gonna
their
stop.
powers.
What
I'm
else
gonna
are
stop
they
you.
training on?
They're training tactics, battle tactics.
And even Teen Titans were precursors.
True. I'm gonna stop you right there. I want next week. We're gonna do next week. I want both of y'all to find something for that for episode 10, and we'll get back to the conversation. But Chris, I need that rating from you right now.
I'm giving this episode 7.6.
Okay, both of y'all ain't wrong. There are points in here that make sense. I get it, but ultimately, I think this is another take on that kind of power genre, and that's the thing we're getting at. They are trying to tell a story where he is learning on the fly. Even though we aren't seeing the training, he's still trying to learn on the fly. Him feeling another kaiju, that was learning on the fly. He's never felt that before. But ultimately, I think this episode gets like a 7.5, 7.6. I agree with Chris on that. We'll see what happens in episode 10. I'll change my tune if episode 10 doesn't make sense. Or if they don't explain it anymore. But he's gonna get caught eventually. We know that.
They're already on his case.
Cor-
That's the yeah.
Correct. So they already know something's up. We'll see how it goes. I do apologize, gentlemen, stopping you both like that because you were about to get into an argument, but I see why you're
No,
arguing
you're
about
good.
this. Seeing why you're arguing about this. Let me know what y'all think in the comments because Kaiju is in a weird spot because I think it's not a traditional Kaiju anime, but it's not a traditional hero anime either. They do mixed things. We'll be back for episode 60 of the Anime Dojo. Next week, we're doing Kaiju number 8, episode 10. And we're actually going to have a couple weeks off because, or it's a week off technically. I think you said, Chris, before we have the next episode of Slime.
Yeah.
But we'll from that point, we'll just have Kaiju. We'll talk about that, kind of give our thoughts, because then we'll have one episode of Kaiju left, and then we'll have Slime come back. But I do thank you for watching. This will go up on Spotify right after processes, and then this will go up on the YouTube channel on Thursday. I do thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy, and hope you for next time. See ya.
Peace.
Deuces.